Resident Evil 6 was really not that great. So, maybe if I kind of let it simmer a bit in my head, then it can kind of feel better. But for now, I stand by that Resident Evil 6 was not a good mainline Resident Evil game. There's a lot to talk about in Resident Evil 6. There's so much that I want to explain, but the first thing that I want to say is I didn't want to make reviews for each game as I finished them. I wanted to wait until I finish all of the games and then I get into a review or like one singular video where I talk about my entire like playthrough, my marathon, what I thought of each game, and I am gonna do that for the most part. But for now, I just want to I just want to express my disappointment for this specific game, Resident Evil 6. I want to get my compliments out the way. If you guys saw my TikTok, then you'd know that my compliments for now, the only thing I can think of is that the mechanics are, pretty good for the most part. Obviously, oh my god, I'm forgetting the compliments that I even had for this fucking game. The co-op idea, that's something that I didn't talk about on TikTok. The co-op idea is also nice. I always love the idea of having, this some like a friend play with you. I didn't use the online aspect because I don't really trust people online, and I don't think anyone else is playing Resident Evil 6 online other than me and maybe like three other people from like fucking Asia or some shit. But Resident Evil 6, there's not that many compliments. Oh yeah, and one more thing, the idea of having four campaigns I guess is nice, although the execution of it wasn't really that good. And now I'll get into the vegetables of this game. I just got through the dessert. Now I'm gonna go through the vegetables. So there's a lot of wrongs that happen in Resident Evil 6, and I'll start with something that I kind of wanted to talk about, which is the actual campaigns. So in Resident Evil 6, you have four campaigns instead of the usual two or even one, depending on which game you're playing. In Resident Evil 2, in Resident Evil 2, for example, you can play through either Claire's perspective or Leon's perspective, and they're considered two different campaigns. So, or in other games like Resident Evil 7, for example, where you only play in Ethan's point of view. But in the other, or in this game specifically, you're playing through four fucking campaigns. You can either play through Leon's, you can play through Ada, you can play through Chris Redfield, or you can play through a new, a character named Jake, who I haven't really seen in any of the other games, so it's nice just throwing in this random character, learning about him and never seeing him again later. Unless I forgot and he comes up in the later games, I couldn't tell you. Anyways, so the idea of having four campaigns, although it is good because there's a lot of content, you can go through, all of these different campaigns, learn about all these different, characters. But, what I do think about is that when you're playing these campaigns, right, the characters don't really interact with each other. There isn't much interacting between him and Leon. The only memorable thing I can think of was when Chris has actually, wanted to kill Ada. Leon stops him, and then, he's like, hey, Chris, stop. What are you doing, Chris? Come on, stop, Chris. What are you doing? And that's it. Chris stops, and he just says, hey, you're right, man. I'm gonna go fucking, I don't know, fucking jerk off in that corner over there. I don't really know what happens to him later. I only played through Leon's campaign in this, so I don't know what happens to Chris. But that's just an example of an interaction you'd see in this game. There isn't really much. There really isn't. And I wish there was more into like their interactions. They had four different campaigns. They had four different, characters. We could have seen so much more happening with them, but we didn't. Instead, what we got is just four different single player campaigns. It's just, I feel like they could have done something with that, so it was disappointing from that aspect. And also what I do want to say is that on the topic of the campaigns and the different characters, they also come with different tones. So this game, it had a shit ton of different tones at once, or at one point you're gonna be like in this like survival horror kind of like in the other Resident Evil games where you're kind of going through like this dark fucking like hallway or whatever, like in the university, for example. In the beginning of Leon's campaign, you're going through this university and it kind of gives you like this this scary vibe from the other Resident Evil games. But then right after you leave, you go into like this fucking COD war zone, and you're just like blasting zombies and shit. So you're shifting tones every now and then, and not every now and then, like every single second, and you never really get a specific vibe from this game. So it feels like this game is trying to do a lot of things at once. It's trying to have like a romantic story, like for example with Leon and Ada. It's trying to like tell a romantic story. It's trying to tell, or not really a romantic story, but like kind of romanticizing characters, or something like that. That this is the thing. It's just there's a lot of things like happening in this game, and that's my issue with it. It doesn't really focus on a core tone that it sets. And if it did that, I definitely think that it would have done better, obviously. So that is another issue with the game. And then another issue I did have with the game. There are so many, man. Another issue that I did have in the game is the core gameplay itself. Again, I don't know what the other characters do. I don't know what Chris does. I don't know what Ada does. I don't know what Jake does. But when I was playing as Leon, I can basically sum up the entire gameplay for him, in like a single, like, I guess, scene. You walk into a room, you're trapped, and there's like some kind of either a timer or like a kill count going on, and you're gonna have to like kill this many zombies or wait until the timer goes off, and then you can leave that room. And that's it. You're just stuck in a room. You're fending off zombies, and then after a certain amount of time or after a certain amount of like kills, then you can like keep progressing in the game. There are barely any puzzles. There isn't really much to Leon's campaign, and it's kind of disappointing. It's not as like puzzle solving, mystery. They really like dumped that aspect from Leon, which is again disappointing. I really did like that part from Leon's games 2 and 4. They dumped that out, and now it's just kind of like shooting until you get to progress in the game. So yeah, that's like my other issue that I had with the game, and it's just really frustrating. Again, I really wish that they didn't do this the entire game, even the fucking boss fights. And that's also another issue that I had with the game, the actual boss fight itself, the final boss. So the final boss, right? I understand that this happens a lot in Resident Evil, where you think you kill the boss, but then he comes back. But I swear to God, I'm not even joking when I say this, that the final boss in the game, he comes back like every second. You think you kill him once, and then he comes, like for example, okay, I'll count with you how many times he came back. I killed him on the train, he came back. I killed him on the like inside the building, he turns into a dragon, he came back. He then turns into some kind of like fly creature. I killed him. I thought I killed him. He comes back, and then again the same thing happens. He transforms into a bigger fly, and then I shoot him, and then I get away into like this chopper area, and then he comes back for the 5th time, and then I shoot a rocket launcher, and then he finally dies. Like why? You don't have to bring him back 5 fucking times. I understand when you do it once. I understand when you do it twice, 3 times is just, at this point it's getting repetitive. But any more than that, any time you bring back a boss more than that, consecutively, it gets frustrating. Just either have, this phase, these like phases of a boss fight going on in like one set place maybe, or just dump him after like the 3rd try or something. I don't know why I have to like keep killing him more than 3 times. It's crazy. So that's another issue that I had with the game. And honestly, I can keep going, but again, I didn't want to make this video. I didn't want to talk about Resident Evil 6. I wanted to wait until I got to the other game, or until I finished all the other games, and then I can get into like the specifics. Then I can like dive deep into each game and make like one long video about it. But I just wanted to express my disappointing. Oh my God, I can't even speak because of how fucked up this game got me. I can't even fucking speak. But this game was so disappointing. I just wanted to kind of express it. And I understand that some people do like this game, and I'm not saying that the game is horrible. I'm not saying that. It's just I didn't enjoy it as much. I know I said that it was dog shit. It's abysmal dog shit. It's ass. It sucks ass and all that. And for the most part, it kind of does, at least in terms of like the Resident Evil games. But I guess if you're gonna consider it as a standalone game, as a co-op game, even because the co-op is fun, I'm pretty sure it is good. It delivers in those aspects, and if you're looking for that, then I can see why you'd like this game. But otherwise, it's just, again, they could have done so much better for this kind of franchise, and it's disappointing to see all these different hits. I went through 2, 3, 4, and 5 consecutively back to back. I kind of enjoyed my time. 3, not really. It was kind of like disappointing in terms of its connection to the old game. But again, I still enjoyed it. 5, I know I said it was mediocre, but I still enjoyed it. 6, I just didn't really like that much. The gameplay just didn't really feel immersive, not as much as any of the other games. And that's pretty much it. That's all I want to talk about. I don't want to go into this any more than I have already, and I'll keep the rest of my thoughts for the final when I finish the games. And yeah, if you guys wanna see me play these games live, my Twitch is in my bio. And I hope to see you guys there. If you wanna grow some inches on your penis, definitely join in on my streams. Watch with me. If I do these puzzles and stuff, I'm gonna be playing Resident Evil 7 next, and then 8, and then I can finally make this video that I've been waiting to do about me finishing the mainline Resident Evil games. And yeah, that's about it.